Just to kind of digress a little bit, with what is going on with the landscape of dancehall now, there is a clear line that has been drawn with this new age dancehall. They call it trap dancehall, and you have the dancehall of Shabba,
1990s,
Supercat,
1980s.
Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, who are still relevant today. Even the verses battle brought to light Beanie Man, Bounty Killer,
Tequila. And more lately, Supercat.
Supercat, and some of the newer artists. What is
Dexter Daps,
yeah, right?
Conscience, and so on.
What is the problem?
Is there a problem?
Some people have problems.
Some people have problems.
All right.
So let me answer from this perspective. First of all, only some people are going to see a problem, and that's the thing about culture. Depending on your perspective, there is no problem. Depending on your perspective, there's a massive problem. Depending on your perspective, the culture gone, it mash up.
Right.
But there is something that you can't forget when you're a student of culture. You can't forget that the cycle of time is always there, circulating, that bring things from the past into the future, and things in the future that will be the past in the future.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
So because of that knowledge, and I've seen it over and over and over, how the cycle of life takes over. I've seen it. I have no anxiety in the way that somebody who is not studying culture would have anxiety. So there's a space for trap dancehall because the cross-fertilization that is inherent in the evolution of music is something that is a built-in way to keep music relevant and current.
Right.
It's a built-in mechanism. If you don't have cross-fertilization in culture, cultures die.
Right.
That's what happens when if something should happen and, God forbid, a meteorite comes strike, right? And everybody just dead off. If there was no cross-fertilization, nobody out there would be doing any Afrobeats that's influenced by dancehall. No Kwaito, no Bangra, no Makossa, no Fuji, no nothing, no hip-hop.
Right.
So the fact is that you have a sort of foolproof method of preservation, of cross-fertilization, and of evolution.
Yeah, I think it's just making space.
And I think most people who don't understand that, they start to think about censorship and the way in which we must clamp down. And my perspective is always the social context is what matters most. The socio-cultural context is what matters most. And I say that because it's not that I'm against censorship when it's necessary. It's not that I don't understand artistic license. It's that I understand that in Jamaica, where we have challenges around misogyny, homophobia, rape, incest, what might be constituted under broad categories of sexual abuse, sexual assault, we must be able to look at ourselves and our music and ask ourselves, well, where are we going with this? Is trap dancehall the answer? Is dancehall the answer? Are there ways in which we need to be looking at, really calling our artists to consider seriously their social context? Because you can't tell me that they're unaware. They're not unaware. Every family in Jamaica has a story about rape, sexual abuse. Every single one. Every single family in Jamaica has a story about sexual abuse. Every family in Jamaica has a story about some kind of violence. My cousin, for example, was murdered in her bed one night by her husband. He might have been of some kind of mental challenge. It may have been jealousy. I don't know. I wasn't even a teenager yet. The fact is that or I probably was just a teenager when this happened. The fact is, for like a country of 3 million people, why can't we control crime and violence? Why do we have these socio psychopathic tendencies. This is something that we really have to consider. And so I am committing myself to investigating some of these questions.
They're saying they're pointing fingers at the music, though.
Yes, they're pointing fingers at the music, and I'm saying that this is where the people who are producing music, the people who are consumers of music, the people who are writing music, they must consider their social context. If the social context is throwing up some kind of pathological elements, we must consider the social context. We must have social responsibility. We must begin to look at ourselves.
Yes.
We don't have no Messiah come save we. not not for the kind of statistics I'm looking at in terms of rape, violence, crime. No. And some people argue that if you really want to solve crime, if you really want to reduce crime, there are ways to do that. So somebody profits from crime.
If we're serious about it.
Yes, if we're serious about it, it's a solvable issue. Somebody profits from crime in the way that crime exists in Jamaica right now. And I'm not unaware of the fact that we are a transshipment point for all kinds of things. We're located in the middle of the ocean, and people from all over the place can come here easily, dock up on a shore. Yeah? The plane land. But I'm very clear that there are other countries, larger than Jamaica, population size more than Jamaica, and they are controlling crime. What's so wrong with us? What's so wrong with us?
I think there are a lot of things that we do that have become the norm, that we no longer see it as really a problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, things, when you talk about a culture of rape or a culture of violence, that it becomes normalized.
Yeah.
It becomes normalized so much so that when you see it, there's no longer a knee-jerk reaction. There's no longer shock. And you have to ask yourself, is that how we are going to be 20 years from now? I mean, when is it time to fix it? When is it time to fix it, though? I mean, and I keep saying, this is a controversial view, but I'm going to say it. When we feed our population with violence in the media, the newspaper, and not positive stories all the time, we can expect to have people regurgitate that. So it's not just the music, it's all forms of media. So whether it is, you can talk about the cable, you can talk about the movies, you can talk about, the video games, all of those things matter. And unfortunately, we're at a point where it's gone through the gate, because we haven't even begun to have conversations really about regulating the internet in Jamaica.
Right.
And perhaps there are people who would flatly reject that. We're not China. How do you go about regulating something that you were never thinking of regulating before? But the way in which, responsible people operate is that you begin to think about the things that you have never done and how you're going to do them in the future in order to save your population.
Right.
That's what leadership is about.
Right.
That's what responsible leadership is about. And I have hope. I have hope because, when I think about a sexual harassment bill that's just needing a few corrections now to become, instituted. When I think about, the conversations we've had about marital rape, when I think about how much we are progressing in terms of even just fighting crime, every now and again, we go up a notch in terms of our capacity to fix a problem. I have some hope. Because I don't think you can lose hope.
No.
I don't think you can afford to lose hope.
No, that's when you die.
Yeah, I don't think you can afford to lose hope.
Okay.